Hello, it's the Curvegan here, making vegan fashionable. Today we're making a creamy chicken and wild rice soup. Okay, as always, I start off my soup with my Earth Balance soy-free vegan butter. And I love to coat my pan to make sure everything is completely saturated. Okay, so I use about a tablespoon and a half. Can't talk, oh my gosh. So while the butter is melting, I am gathering up all of my veggies, and you guys all know by now which veggies I always start my soups off with. Deliciousness, right? Yes, so momentarily I will be adding in my chopped diced vegetables that I try to chop and dice before I get on camera with you guys, because I love you that much. But apparently this is the most interesting butter ever, right? So now that it's completely melted, I'm getting ready to add in my onions, my scallions, and my carrots. About a cup of each. Well, not of the scallions, probably like a fourth of a cup of scallions. And I begin to stir it around, make sure everything gets a bit of that butter jacuzzi, right? Yes. So what I did just then, I returned the heat up just a little bit, because I wanted to give it some more heat, because I don't think my heat was high enough for me. That's just me personally. So what I'm getting ready to do right here is, I of course love to season my vegetables, and I'm going to start off with some fentanyl seeds, Indian fentanyl weed. Yes, that. And I think I put about a teaspoon or about a teaspoon and a half of the fentanyl seeds. And I got the little focus a little bit better. Aren't you guys proud of me? Okay, that's ground thyme. I am getting ready to add into my vegetable mix. And I also add about a teaspoon or so. Right? And now I'm getting ready to add rosemary, ground rosemary. I added about another teaspoon of that. Also, my handy dandy garlic powder. Aren't you guys so proud of me? I literally got the focus right this time, right? So you guys can actually see what I'm adding in. Because earlier you didn't know what I was adding in. I have my onion powder. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself. Yes. And I'm sorry I didn't show you guys, but I think that's pink. Yes, that's my pink Himalayan salt. Yes. Loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Black pepper. Yes. So after adding my black pepper, I grab my handy dandy spoon and I stir in every ounce of the flavoring that I had just put into the veggies. And I always season my veggies because it makes for a better stock versus using vegetable stock, because I use water all the time. Less sodium, therefore less weight gain and water retention. So I covered it for about 2 minutes, and then I added my garlic. I always add my garlic last because garlic has a tendency to burn faster, and you don't want burnt garlic in your soup. So I put about 2 tablespoons. I love garlic, especially in this particular soup. Oh my gosh, y'all, this soup was the bomb dig. You have to definitely try this. You have to veganize this recipe. This is one of my faves, okay? One of my favorite recipes. So after stirring for a few more minutes, I cover it up because I really want to sweat those flavors through and through. And as you can see, I got a little liquid in the pan, got some steam in the lens of the camera, amazing. So I added in my Lundberg wild rice. And at first I was going to add a little bit, but I said, what the heck. And I actually started my rice like this only because wild rice takes a minute to cook. And plus, when you add it directly to those vegetables, it has a better chance of just kind of like taking on the flavor of those delicious seasoned vegetables. So I just kind of stir it in without adding any liquids, and I covered it up for another like minute or two. Yes, so as I was preparing my other things, I just kept an eye. Make sure you keep an eye on rice. You do not want it to burn because that will ruin your whole thing, your whole soup. Okay. So after a few minutes, your rice is nice and incorporated in, and I decided to add the chicken grillers from Simply Truth. They're meatless, they're vegan, and they're absolutely amazing. I think I like that brand over the Beyond Meat simply because it cooks down exactly like shredded chicken, and you will see at the end of this video how well it shreds down. So I was only going to use a little bit of the chicken, but I ended up, I don't know if I do it in this video, I ended up adding more of the chicken. And I think I also added additional rice. I'm not sure if I put it on camera, but we shall see, right? More water. And that's the rest of the chicken. Oh my gosh, y'all. This was an amazing recipe. I can't say it more than I'm saying it now. And there's the rest of the rice because I wanted my soup really full of everything. So that rice didn't actually get incorporated, but I cooked it on a slow temp and it turned out amazing. It turned out amazing. And so I'm just stirring in everything. And be careful because your rice is heavier than the water and everything else that's in the soup. So make sure you keep it stirred because you don't want it to sit at the bottom of the pan and potentially burn. So just continue to stir it. And at this point, I'm adding in my garden veggie bouillon cubes. My favorite. And I could have used the unchicken, but I didn't have any. And that's what I had. So that's that. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. I put that stuff on everything. So now, after I am stirring it, I'm like, it needs more. It needs more. So I begin to get creative at this point. And so I said, let's see what else I can add. Give me 1 minute. I said, I got 1 minute to get this right. So again, I'm just playing around with flavors and I'm playing around with different ingredients. It's just to veganize and make each meal hearty. So I grabbed some lima beans. If you remember my Brunswick stew, I had lima beans. So I had some left over. So I threw those in the pot. Not many, but a few. They're great. They were great. They added to that soup amazingly. And also some golden sweet corn. I added that in there as well. Not much, but just enough. Yeah, about a cup and a half to 2 cups. I'm not sure how much I put in there. You guys do it at your own discretion. If you like more corn, if you like more lima beans, you like more carrots, if you like more chicken, like more rice, add it in there. And I turned up my my temperature to medium to high to medium heat. Yep, I turned it up. Yep, and I covered it up because I wanted this boil to begin. And after about an hour, that's what I had right there, like this delicious looking soup. And because I added that bunch of rice in before I added the water, it gave off this starch. So I didn't have to add any flour or any flour water mixture to thicken up the soup. So I actually had to add another cup of water to thin it out a little bit more. So if you need to add a cup of water or any more extra water, please feel free to do so. So what I think I was doing here, I was waiting for it to come to a boil because I just added that water into it. And as you can see, you guys, that chicken that I use, which is Simply Truth, that's my favorite now for like a few months or years or however long until I find something else. That Simple Truth chicken shreds up. Just, there's no chunks of like huge pieces of chicken. It shreds. Look at that. Like, it looks like, you know, you boil dark meat or something and a few pieces of white meat and you cook it. So I have my tofutti cream cheese, and I think I added like, that's 2 good tablespoons, and that's going to add that creamy to the creamy, you know, that maybe a little bit more than 2 tablespoons. But think about it, there's only, for 2 tablespoons up to tofutti, I can't talk, oh my gosh, the tofutti is only 60 calories. So think about that. You're not eating that in one setting. So what I'm doing, as you've seen in a few of my other videos, where I'm trying to get it incorporated as it comes to a boil. And if you can see right there, it even thickened up a little bit more after adding in the tofutti cream cheese. So yeah, it thickened up a little bit more. So of course I'm stirring vigorously because I want to make sure there's no rice stuck at the bottom, none of my veggies stuck at the bottom. Make sure they're not burning, and you continue to stir vigorously because you're trying to incorporate all of that cream cheese. You're trying to break it down so it could become a creamier consistency. So I'm gonna cover it up as I always do for a few minutes. At that point, I have this huge boil going on, so I turned it down a little bit because I didn't want to risk any burning of anything at the bottom. So I turned it down a little bit, but I still had it at a pretty roaring simmer. And this is the finished product here. Thank you for watching.